Bite-sized.
Welcome to Gaikoku Gamers Bite-Sized. I'm Darryl Benson.
This is Mike Frazier.
We're kind of doing a dual bite-size today, right?
Yes, we are.
So, if cut, there was some very, very, very important news that was announced today by Nintendo, and that is that we're getting a couple new systems. I wouldn't necessarily call them successors, I guess. It's more like the next evolutionary part of this line, right?
Yeah, exactly. It seems that they have taken one of their systems and have given it a little bit of the beefy upgrade, so to speak. So it's not exactly a new brand, but it's a new envisioning, I guess you could call it.
Right. I would kind of liken this to maybe the DSi or the Game Boy Color, where technically we're going to see some exclusive games for these systems that would not be possible in previous generations. But all in all, generally we're talking about the same system despite some performance differences. So yeah, let's get into that. What exactly is different this time around?
Well, first of all, they have a second analog controller. Just that's a tiny, almost like a button-sized controller, so to speak. It's just above where the face buttons are.
It's very much like the nipple on a C-stick, how much smaller it is on in-service contact.
Yeah.
Compared to the joystick on a GameCube controller. In fact, it's called the C-stick, which is
it's kind of fun.
So I thought that was kind of interesting.
They changed the look of the face buttons now. They look more remnants of the Super NES face buttons.
Right. And what I think was kind of interesting about that is, first off, I actually think that's a cool look.
Yeah.
But two things. Number one, do you think that they're going to change that to light and dark purple for the US release?
Ooh, they could very well be. Yeah. And here's hoping we do see a US release.
I mean, obviously that wouldn't necessarily, I guess, go with like solid colors.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, the multicolored look would be better because I mean, if they went with the purples, I guess it would have to be on like a white or a gray. Could have like a blue, that would look kind of ugly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the colored look nonetheless. I think enough people are knowledgeable of the Super Famicom controller.
Yeah.
To know what it represents. We also added some buttons, right?
Yes. Over in the back where the triggers are, there seems to be 2 extra buttons near the triggers.
Yeah, RZ and LZ.
Yeah.
Or ZR and ZL, I should say. That's actually the one addition I don't like.
No?
For those who have played with the classic controller, the original, not the Pro, like with the Wii U, but with the Wii,
yeah,
those inner triggers are a bitch to hit.
That's true.
They don't feel very... Now, the triggers on the 3DS are rather short, so maybe it'll be easier to hit the second triggers as opposed to first, but that's like the only thing I'm really like waiting to see on.
Yeah, we'll see how that turns out for them.
So the next thing is, and this is, I think, arguably one of the best improvements, is no matter what angle you look at the screen now, it will display 3D.
3D, yeah. They figured out a way to captivate the 3D look, no matter what angle the.
Well, they explained how they're doing that. Did you see?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, so it tracks your eyeballs in conjunction with the gyro sensor. That way, it always knows from what angle you're looking at this thing from, and it'll change the distancing between the two images accordingly.
Right.
Which is pretty cool, because I don't know about you, but in some games like Star Fox 64 3D, man, it's very hard to get a constant 3D image, because one little turn of your hands and
it's
blurred.
gone. It's gone, yeah.
In fact, I had to go ahead and turn the 3DS setting on my 3DS down to about halfway, simply because in a lot of games like that, and Street Fighter, where I'm moving around the controller quite a bit, I simply couldn't take it anymore.
No.
So that's a welcome improvement.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
I also think it's interesting, going back to the triggers, that it's the first, mainstream handheld, I should say. We'll get into that some other day. The first mainstream handheld that has 4 triggers.
That's true.
Because, PlayStation beat Nintendo on the second joystick thing, but they only have 1 set of triggers.
1 set of triggers, that's right.
I wonder if the 4 trigger thing is going to be a mainstay now with not only Nintendo, but maybe Sony will catch up if they make another handheld.
Yeah.
So the other thing, the face plates and the back plates are changeable, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So what's the advantageous? What's the advantage of that?
It's fine. I don't think there's too many advantages for Nintendo because it kind of defeats purposes, like we were saying before, about the exclusive limited edition systems. Because if people can, I'm sure there'll be numerous knockoff companies out there making knockoff faceplates for it. So, but for the gamer, it can make their system unique to their own styling. And
you know what they could do? Instead of releasing limited edition systems and
limited edition
people,
faceplates.
think about whether or not they should get rid of their previous 3DS, they could release them as limited edition games to get you maybe to spend an extra $15.
You get a faceplate with it.
So you get a faceplate set. It'd be interesting.
It'd be
Like
very
think about like the 3DS that's coming out for the Super Smash Bros. In Europe, right?
Right.
Imagine that was just a faceplate and backplate.
Yeah.
So you could change up your system. You wouldn't have to feel compelled to go ahead and get a new freaking system every single time they release a new one.
Right.
Outside of the base color, of course. I mean, you can't. It's a white system or a black system.
system.
There's no changing that. Which I actually thought was interesting, because on the 3DS, because they have a 3DS and an XL.
Right.
On the 3DS, it's white and black.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but on the XL, isn't it like dark blue?
Dark blue.
And white? I don't understand the dark blue choice.
I don't know.
If you have custom faceplates and backplates, wouldn't that look kind of ugly?
I think it would. It's just not to colors I expect to see together.
No. Another thing is too, by the way, we need to mention the XL button colors are only changed in the lettering.
Yeah.
Not the whole button like the actual 3DS. I'll be honest with you, from my personal opinion, I actually think the regular 3DS looks better in every single way.
Yeah.
Which has never been the case.
No.
It's always the XL looks better than the regular 3DS. Now I think this 3DS, it almost has like an iPhone type of look to it from the top.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, it has that little, I don't know what you describe it as, like a stainless steel bezel almost, I guess, on the top. Like a little border almost.
Yeah.
And I think the inside very much looks like an XL now.
That's
It
true.
doesn't have that ugly big bezel anymore. But like I said, those big, colorful, candy buttons, I think that's the way to go.
Yeah. I really like the look of those myself as well.
Yeah. So I think if I ever did get one, that would be the one to get.
Yeah.
Also, one advantage of removing the faceplates and the backplates would be the fact that now that is how you get into the SD card bay.
Yeah.
And you have access, easy access, I might add, to the battery.
Exactly.
That's interesting. Speaking of which, the SD cards are micro
SD cards now, yeah.
Which is good in the sense that it takes up less space, and it's bad if you already have a full-sized
card full of
card. So in that respect, you might be screwed. So hopefully you had one of those like mini micro SD to full SD adapters
and such.
So yeah, can you think of any other differences? Oh, I know one big one that we haven't mentioned yet.
Oh, the big screen now is it adjusts the lighting. So depending on your lighting situation, it will automatically adjust the screen lighting to adapt to your lighting situation.
Yes, but we're missing the big one, the CPU.
Oh yes, it's an upgrade.
Oh. The CPU and the RAM has been upgraded. And the VRAM.
That's right.
The VRAM's gone up, what, 4 megs?
Yeah.
How much was the RAM? It's like 200 megs or something.
Yeah, something like that.
For the handheld, it's great, but for a computer, it's like
right.
nothing. But, and then the CPU went up, right?
Yeah.
So this is going to basically lead to exclusives.
Yeah, exactly.
And the first one that we got to see was the Wii port of
Xenoblade Chronicles.
Xenoblade Chronicles, yeah.
Which,
I'll be honest with you, out of any of the games from the Wii, that's definitely one, especially with the new X game coming out.
Oh yeah.
That's a good tie-in product right there.
Yeah, exactly. I'm now wondering if they're going to start porting more Wii games that they just couldn't do on the 3DS over.
Like Metroid?
Metroid, yeah.
The Metroid Prime series would be a fantastic example of games, because they said that the games that they would want to bring over would prioritize.
Avast virus database has been updated.
Thanks, Avast. Second time now. Anyway, they said that it would prioritize making games for the new 3DS and 3DS XL that needed a second joystick.
Yeah.
So I think Metroid Prime would actually be a good example since that uses a second joystick.
Yeah.
I want to talk about, before we get into our opinions of it, I want to talk about really quick other people's opinions online. It seems that a lot of people, especially on My Nintendo News, the wonderful people there, seriously, it's like the dredge of society that comments on that place. I like the site, but the comments are, woo. They seem to be pretty pissed.
Really?
Very pissed. To be fair, I think it's because a lot of them are too young. They don't remember like minor iterations like the Game Boy Color.
Yeah.
I mean, no offense, but when I was a kid, I was pretty angry at Nintendo too, because all of a sudden these 8-bit games with the same graphics essentially were coming out, but I couldn't play them because I had a Game Boy Pocket.
Yeah.
So I understand why they're upset, but at the same time, there are people who are like, oh, that's it, that's the final straw, I'm never going back to Nintendo, blah, blah, blah. It's like, look, man, I mean, I understand if like you just bought an XL or just bought a 3DS, and that would suck for sure.
Oh, definitely.
But at the same time, it's kind of like this is pretty par for the course for Nintendo. The DSi, the Color, I mean, they've been known to make iterations of basically the same hardware that don't play the same software, that produces software that the older systems can't play.
Right.
Even to an extent, with the DSi 2, where it got rid of GPA functionality,
Yeah.
that pissed off a lot of people too. I remember back in the day. Like, this is just what Nintendo does. And my suggestion to you is, if you want to play Nintendo games and you don't have to worry about console functionality changing, get a console.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
They rarely play, or they rarely change their home consoles, and if they do, it's really more of a cosmetic, or they take out features more than they're making specific gameplay elements, only able for certain groups of people, like the Wii Mini, right?
Yeah.
That didn't help anybody.
No.
So yeah, there are a lot of people though who are definitely saying, "Oh, I can't wait to buy this one." Well, that leads me into my question to you: would you buy one?
I think it's a cool idea. I really like what they're doing with it. Again, would I want to sit down and invest the time in games that I know I probably will play for a short while, and then move on? I probably wouldn't buy one right out of the get-go. I'd let the market see how it goes first, and see what exclusive games are only going to be coming to this handheld before I want to plug down.
Well, this is one thing I think people have to remember. Nintendo released the 2DS XL 6 months prior to announcing the 3DS.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind. They are not immune to releasing brand new next-gen hardware right after they make a revision of a console.
Right.
That is why I would personally wait.
Yeah.
Because I really wouldn't put it past Nintendo if, come next year's holiday, the successor to the 3DS comes out.
Yeah.
And for those who are going, oh, the 3DS has only been out for 3.5 years. Okay, true. Actually, it's been out for a little longer than that, but yeah, 3.5 years, let's just say. While that's true, at the same time, the handheld market has changed since Nintendo started making handhelds back in the past.
Yeah.
You can't have a handheld that lasts 5, 6 to 7 years, I don't think, anymore. Not with smartphone technology increasing.
No.
Just double all the time. The 3DS, when it came out, was weak.
Yeah, definitely so.
Especially compared to its competition to Vita. Now it's almost laughable. And while I appreciate the CPU and GPU upgrade, you have to be honest. Look at the big titles, Smash Bros., that type of stuff. They're not taking any advantage of this hardware.
No, not at all.
So if you're a Japanese gamer and you didn't give a flying monkey's ass about getting Xenoblade, there is literally no reason for you to upgrade your system yet.
No.
unless you really just can't take the fact that the 3D doesn't
Really
save.
jive.
Also, there's another handheld on the market, right?
Yes.
And we won't say what that is because we're going to be talking about that later. But it pretty much kicks the Vita and 3DS's ass, right?
Oh, definitely does. I
Yeah.
think
So that's for another video for another day. But those two reasons basically are the reason why I'd hold off, personally. I think the Wii U is a great console choice. I think the Wii U is a fantastic Nintendo system to have. You don't have to worry about them upgrading it to something that you can't play future games on, and you also have the full experience, in my personal opinion. And frankly, I don't know about you, but I mean, outside of like children and people who are like using public transportation, I mean, the idea of a handheld that needs to be able to go elsewhere. Do you really need a handheld? I mean, I don't know about you, but I personally game most of the time at home.
Yeah, and I never game outside of home. I have no reason. This is like I see people in movie theaters waiting for movies besides bringing out their handheld devices, their phones, and all that, playing games and stuff. And I never once, even when I had my Vita or 3DS, felt the need. Oh, let's go to the movies. I'm going to take my gaming system with me and sit there with my wife while she sits there and stares at nothing. I'm gaming away. So
right. And I'll be honest with you, the only time I've ever taken my 3DS anywhere was to work, to play maybe on a lunch break or something.
Yeah.
But even then, it's not like every day.
No.
It's more like a novelty of the fact that I can. So maybe, I guess what I'm trying to say is this is not a product that really truly speaks to me.
No.
And I'm not saying that 3DSs are bad systems or that they don't have good games or blah, 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 blah. It's a fantastic library, yada, yada, yada. For me. I think for a lot of adult gamers out there, it's definitely something that maybe you should wait on. And like I said, even if you are really into the 3DS, like I said, it wouldn't be terribly weird of Nintendo to release new hardware in a year or two.
Oh, exactly.
And these things are not too cheap either. I mean, they seem to be a little cheaper than the previous versions, but not how much. Wasn't the XL, or I should say the LL, that was
$81 US.
$1, and like the regular 3DS is like 150 or 160.
Yeah, it's on 154 or something like that.
What's interesting is that this holiday they announced like a shit ton of 2DS and 3DS and 3DS XL bundles of games. Who do you think is going to be like willing to buy one?
One of those, knowing that this is going to be coming around the bin.
I mean, yeah, it comes with a game, but it's like the difference of the $30 plus the fact you're actually technically paying more unless they up the price to USD when it comes to the States. I don't know. Do you think it'll be 200?
Yeah, I'm gonna say you'll probably see a price drop for the 3DS, and when this comes, you'll probably see the 3DS go to 3DS XL go to 169, the 3DS go to probably 129, 2DS go to 99, and then this comes in at 199.
It always kind of makes the 2DS the bastard child because it really didn't get any time in the sun, did it?
No, because I felt like it just got out. It was just starting to do something. It
hasn't even been out for a year.
No. And they're already
like, hey, you know that thing that we've been trying to sell that no one's buying? Forget about it.
Forget about it. We've got something better.
Never mind. I mean, fuck, they didn't even make a Circle Pad Pro for that thing.
No.
I mean, at the very least, you can argue, well, okay, well, other than the games that are going to be using the specific CPU boost, I have a Circle Pad Pro for the XL or my regular 3DS, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
The 2DS never even got that functionality. It really is, if you think about it, the bastard child of all four of them. 5 of them, I should say. Also, I thought it was kind of funny. Some people are bitching, like, oh, this is too many iterations. I'm like, you do know how many iterations of previous consoles it's made. I mean, no offense, but the DS line alone.
Oh, my God.
I mean, we had the fat silver, right?
Yeah.
We had the light.
Yeah.
We had the DSi.
Yeah.
The DSi XL. Am I missing any?
In the regular DS. So I mean,
I mean,
this is about 5 or 6.
Yeah, they're not. they're not going to make one or two different versions for a generation. They're not Sony here. They're not going to be like, oh, look at this, it's a new Vita, that's it. No. And you know what? From a business standpoint, even if you're a fanboy and you're like, I hate it, from a business standpoint, you have to see why this is smart.
Yeah.
Think about it. I guarantee you at least 50% of the people who are 3DS owners have bought more than one 3DS.
Oh, more likely.
Because they probably bought a 3DS at launch.
Yeah.
And the XL came out, and like, ooh, and then some of them, went to the 2DS for whatever reason, but most of them stayed and were like, aha, I have the superior console with the XL, and then this thing comes out. It's 2 or 3 guaranteed console purchases.
Yep.
You gotta think about it. How many consoles has the 3DS sold? Like 100 million or something.
Something like that. Yeah. It's
I was gonna say it's 100 million, right? It's not 100 million people.
No.
It might be even half that. It's just people rebuying shit. Which of course Nintendo's love it.
Oh yeah.
They're selling you the same fucking thing. I mean, it's not even like Samsung with cell phones where they up the technology. This is the first time they've actually updated the technology inside as far as chipset goes.
Yeah.
So they're basically doing what Apple and Samsung do every single year with cell phones, except they're really not doing anything other than changing the screen size. So, yeah, so you're going to wait?
I'm going to wait. And like I said, we have another system we're looking at, which arguably I think, like you said, is better. It's more versatile.
Yeah, I think that's why it's not that it doesn't have its credits.
Yeah.
Like I said, the screen viewable angle thing alone,
It's good.
I think is fantastic. And it looks less like a toy.
Yeah.
In particular, the smaller 3DS that they're releasing, the new 3DS. It looks very much like a smart device from the outside. It looks definitely a lot more professional. It's kind of funny because other than the 2DS, I feel like that's how it's been every single iteration. I think the regular 3DS looked most like a toy.
Toy, yeah.
The 2DS looked sleeker and more professional, and now this line one-ups that. So I have to ask. There's your Avast. Everyone's getting an Avast notification. So I have to ask you, when the real successor comes out to the 3DS, do you think it'll still be 3D based? Do you think this is all leading? Do you think basically all the tech that we're seeing now is going to be in the new 3DS, except it's just going to be a lot more powerful? Or do you think this is the end of, or do you think this is going to be like the ultimate version of this 2-screened 3D system?
I think I almost want to go with the fact that you might see it as the ultimate version of their 3D system. Maybe a smaller iteration here or there, but when they go to the new handheld, I think you probably will see it probably won't be 3D.
I think the 3D thing just isn't popular anymore. I think they know it. I think they're trying to ride it out. And the 3DS is so popular not because of the 3D feature. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
If that thing was 2D, would it not sell still?
Oh, definitely would. Of course it would.
Do you think we'll see a 2-screened system again?
I think we will. I think Nintendo likes that dual screen, and I think I think it will be along the lines of a 3DS, but more along the lines of the more powerful 2DS version. Yeah.
And maybe 2 full-size joysticks next time around.
Yeah, not just a nub and a.
I'm not saying it wouldn't work well. I kind of made like a little cardboard representation today, and I was like, okay, yeah, I could see how it worked. Which you'd be able to control just fine in quick, jerky movements, but I don't think it's ideal.
No.
I will say this: a lot of people have been bitching, like, how come it wasn't on the bottom of the buttons? That would feel horrible.
Yeah.
This is perfect. This not so much. I don't agree with the people who are saying that.
No. But I think where we're seeing, like, even stuff like the WikiPad, their attachment is a full two controllers, the Shield's 2 controllers. I think every handheld thing we've seen has 2 controller mechanisms. I think it would be kind of shooting themselves in the foot if they put out a successor to the 3DS and not make it a 2 controller system.
I think this is their cute little way of referring to a cult classic system.
Yeah.
While, you know, kind of making a very messy looking last minute upgrade
Yeah.
to suffice people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like now they can say it has 2 sticks, but like honestly, in reality, it's not a stick. It's
No,
like a.
it's like a button.
It reminds me actually of like the PSP nub, but like even smaller.
Smaller. It
But,
kind of reminds me of the little nubs you'd get in laptops to move the mouse around.
See, I was under the impression that it slid like a circle pad,
Circle pad?
or is it really a nub?
I don't know.
I hope it wouldn't be like a laptop nub.
Oh God, I hope not. Jesus,
That would
I
suck
hate
ass.
those. I don't know, I'm kind of curious why they decided to move the cartridge slot to the front.
I bet it's just how the hardware is configured.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, that's actually one thing that bothered me was they moved the stylus to the front.
Yeah.
And your hand is here. I always was able to flick it with my middle finger and pull out the stylus like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to put it here. The only reason why they put it there, I bet you, is simply because of space.
Space. Yeah.
It doesn't make any other sense otherwise. Unless someone seriously thought that was a good idea. I will say this, though. I actually do agree with them on the cartridge slot.
Yeah.
Think about it. The back never made any bloody sense. I have to look over the fucking screen, pop it up. I like this.
That's
You
true.
shouldn't really ever having to turn around the system. I like that this is here. It's all, you're looking at it the right way. I actually think that's a smart move. I think for the Vita it worked on the top because there was no second screen to kind of go over. You can see it right there. But on the 3DS, no, I hated it. Yeah, I think this makes sense, and it's not like they never put a cartridge slot on the bottom before. I mean, think the GBA slot on the DS, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, like I said, the only thing that bothers me is the stylus there. But I will say this: I do like the fact that they moved the SD card slot.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been bitching about this, but I actually think that's a smart move. It's because my 3DS, the palm of my hand would actually open that tab when I was playing.
Oh yeah.
That ever happened to you?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, that was a bad place for that. So I'm actually quite happy they moved that. In fact, in general, I think the less crap on the side is just better in general. I think you shouldn't have any buttons where your palms are resting. That's just stupid.
So I'm wondering when they finally do make a successor to the 3DS, what games will it play? And definitely it would play their new successor games, but will it play them and then just the new 3DS games, or will it play the entire lot? Because every time they seem to put a new successor, one of the older ones seems to get dropped off the list of what games it plays.
Okay, so are you saying the successor to the 3DS or the next iteration?
No, the actual true successor.
Well, I guess I'm going to have to answer that with a question.
Yeah.
Did the 3DS play DSi games?
I don't think so. I think it just plays DS games and 3DS.
That's my point. If the 3DS, I should say, if the new 3DS, the new version, why could they call it something different, like I or something? Like new, really?
Did you get that new 3DS? What do you mean new? It's been out for 3 years.
Exactly. I think it's just going to create confusion with that DS name. I mean, in reality, I don't see too many new 3DS games being made.
No.
Do you?
Not really. I mean,
if you think about it, if you're a publisher,
yeah,
you want to make a game. Wouldn't you want to sell it to the, I don't know, 18 bajillion people who already have the system instead of like
exactly
1,000? Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be like DSi would. I think it's going to be one of those things where it's like, hey, this is awesome, but you should have fucking done this in the beginning.
Yeah. Which kind of makes me wonder why didn't they just save this for an actual true successor instead of.
I think I have the answer to that.
Yeah.
And that's the 3DS was basically on par with like a PS2 or a GameCube, right?
Right.
More PS2. I don't think it was as ever good as looking as the GameCube. Whatever. This makes it now more on par with the Wii, right?
Right.
I think this system was simply to get over the non-HD era of consoles for it to emulate. Meaning, I think the next handheld that they want to release will be in HD.
Yeah.
And I think they just wanted to get this out of their system, cash in basically on the games they won't be able to cash in on with the next gen system, i.e. Wii-powered games.
Right.
Cash in for a year. Let's make a bunch of fucking ports. Yeah, oh yeah, Wii, oh, okay. Hey, it would be great to have Wii want to go now. Or games that are like Wii U graphics, right?
Right.
And that'll be the next
No,
version.
that's version.
In fact, you know, if the quality of life thing is what I think it might be, I wouldn't be, or not even quality of life, but the next system based on previous rumors, I think it's very possible that you're going to see the next console handheld be one.
Yeah.
I think that would just make sense. They cannot sell their consoles like they want to. I'm not saying they're not selling, okay, obviously they're selling millions, but the one thing that's always sold for them is their handheld, right?
Right.
I think it'd be really cool if they made some sort of dongle that plugged into your TV's HDMI port, and it was like their next innovation was like wireless HDMI, because that technically exists. It's just like really fucking expensive.
Yeah.
I think they might be waiting until they can produce that cheaply, and then produce like a $300 console / handheld. So you basically have the whole game pad setup, which is why again I was asking you about the 2 screen thing. I think if they went that route, it'd be 1 screen.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you already have the second screen as a television, right? Just an idea. Just an idea. I don't know if that would work or if that'd be feasible, but that's kind of what I'm thinking at least. And who knows? I'll probably be all wrong. It's been very hard of late to guess what Nintendo.
Yeah, Nintendo's. They're
like
always.
back in the day, it's like, oh, Super Nintendo, yeah, whatever. Like, ooh, we all saw that coming. GameCube was like, okay, yeah, we saw that coming. And not the shape, it's a little fucking weird. The purple thing, gotta go. But okay, yeah, just based, you know, good graphics, what do you do? Even the N64 was fairly predictable. I mean, we all knew 3D game was coming.
Oh yeah.
I think we were taken by surprise definitely by the controller, but we all knew 3D game was coming. But man, like the Wii, the Wii U, the 3DS, 2DS even, I can genuinely say I think it took everyone by surprise when they released all their systems.
Yeah.
I didn't expect Nintendo to concentrate on 3D.
No.
Their next handheld. I didn't expect them to make a motion controller or a tablet controller. I mean, sometimes you know their innovation shoots them in the foot because it's too unique. But you know you have to give credit for Nintendo at least out of the last 2 or 3 generations. They really have been making unique hardware. So
yeah, at least they're trying. They're trying something new.
But anyway, I want to cut us off because we've gone from bite-size to full-size king size.
Wow.
It's been 2 minutes. We're very sorry, and we will talk to you guys later. Until then, I'm Darryl Benson.
And I'm Mike Fraser.
Okay, have a good night.